Now, again, Michael, let's talk about the politics and about what you can see is going to be the sales pitch here. Now, obviously, there's a big bump in that tomorrow with All About Shane Warne and all the rest of it, and there's be some different coverage tomorrow in the Breakfast TV. But what is the launching pad politically here? You've talked about interest rates. Well, the immediate sort of hot take is when you pump a lot of extra money into the economy, that could lead to greater inflation. Greater inflation can lead to interest rates. Well, Labor's position is, well, we'll just pump more in. So it's a battle of who's sort of tapping the brakes on the way up when it comes to interest rates.
Yeah, so, mate, the advantage for the government is this, and you've heard me talk about this before. You ought to try and fight elections on your brand equity. The Liberal Party's brand equity, defence, foreign policy, defence of our borders, the economy, taxes, cost of living. If elections are fought on that turf, that's the Liberal Party, the National Party's home turf. As you saw in 2019 on tax, if they're fought on Labor's turf, which is health and education, Labor will tend to do much better because people think, well, if there's a problem, Labor are going to throw more money at it, as you saw in 2016 when people foolishly thought Malcolm Turnbull was going to privatise Medicare. But, hey, that was Labor's campaign and they did brilliantly. Now what's happened, mate, is you're having this budget so close to the election, the focus is on the economy and the focus is on defence for all the reasons we know. So the polls are going to narrow. Labor are not going to do any better. The question is, how much can the government turn around the polls between now and the election? Now, interest rates is the number one issue for me. It affects every single person in the country of voting age, every single person affected by that. And secondly, mate, Labor, as you do in opposition, all you can do is you've got bland statements. So Jim Chalmers before, and I'm sure he's a good fellow and all that, but his main point was it's about the quality of spending, not the quantity of budget spending. Well, what does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. This is the polybabble that you have to carry on with when you're opposition because you don't have the resources. But Labor have made great play of there's been no great increase in real wages. One of their bête noirs is if they're asked for details. How are real wages going to rise under a Labor government? Because they have no answer to that. Around the world, Western governments have been trying to raise real wages and have failed. And it's confounded economists because, in periods of low unemployment, you have rising wages for the reasons Josh Frydenberg extrapolated in his budget speech. But that is a second weakness of Labor. If people think Labor can't do that or they're shallow on real wages, then that's going to be a serious hole in their economic credibility.